I never imagined I'd sit here, staring at the walls of my empty living room, feeling like a stranger in my own life. My name is David, and I'm a father. A father who just learned that for years the people I love most in this world, my own family, were hiding something unimaginable from me. They knew I was sick. They knew my body was slowly betraying me. And yet, they chose silence. Not out of cruelty, they'd say. Out of love. Out of wanting to protect me. To shield me from pain. But what they didn't understand is that the real pain wasn't in the diagnosis. It was in the betrayal. I replay the moments in my mind, the strange looks exchanged at family dinners, the hushed conversations that would fall silent when I walked into the room, the times my wife squeezed my hand a little too tightly, as if she was holding onto a secret she couldn't bear to share. I chalked it all up to stress, to life, to the natural drift that happens over time. Never once did I suspect that they were all carrying the weight of my illness on their shoulders, without me. It's hard to explain the heartbreak of realizing you've been left out of your own story. As a father, I've always believed my job was to protect them. But now, I'm haunted by the question, how do I protect a family that didn't trust me enough to face this together? If you've ever felt the sting of being shut out, of being the last to know, you'll understand this ache. And if you haven't, count yourself blessed. Because there's a loneliness in this kind of revelation that no words can fully capture. Please, if this touched you in any way, let me know in the comments. Share your own story if you've ever been blindsided by someone you love. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Not just for me, but because somewhere, someone else needs to hear they're not alone. I sit here in the bruised light of dusk. The living room cloaked in shadows that stretch like silent accusations across the walls. The clock ticks too loudly, each second digging its nails deeper into my skin. I can hear the echoes of conversations I was never meant to hear. Or maybe I was meant to hear them, just not understand them. My wife's voice floats back to me in shattered pieces like a broken radio signal. Murmurs cut short, breathless pauses when I entered the room, the false cheer in her, "Oh, nothing, just talking." I see it all now, in jagged replay. My children, God, my own children, darting glances at each other when I asked how school was, how they were feeling. Their smiles too quick, too wide. Paper-thin masks stretched across the raw mess underneath. And me, the fool, thinking it was teenage mood swings or the natural distance that settles into a long marriage. I told myself, this is normal. I told myself, you're just imagining things. But my body knew. My body had been whispering the truth to me for months, maybe years. The trembling in my hands I blamed on too much coffee. The sudden bouts of dizziness I dismissed as dehydration or skipping lunch. The creeping fatigue I chalked up to age, to stress, to the weight of carrying a family on my back. How many times did I laugh it off, make a joke about getting old, while they all exchanged panicked glances behind my back? Last night I finally asked her. No, I didn't ask, I confronted her. And she froze. My wife, the woman who has known every corner of my heart, every scar and secret, stood there as if I were a stranger at the door. Her eyes filled with tears before a single word passed her lips, and in that moment, I knew. They knew. They had known all along. My heart didn't break from the diagnosis. It broke from the betrayal. It wasn't my body that failed me. It was the people I trusted most. That night, I wandered the house like a ghost, brushing my fingers over framed photos of family vacations, birthdays, Christmas mornings. I stared into the faces of smiling children who had grown into secret keepers. I felt the walls close in, the air sharpen. Every memory in this house had been rewritten by what I now knew. In the morning, my son avoided me. He mumbled something about meeting friends, about being late. eyes fixed on the ground as he slipped past me. My wife watched from the kitchen, her coffee untouched, her eyes hollow. I realized then that this house, once my refuge, had become enemy territory. I was a stranger here, an intruder in my own life. I wonder, sitting here now, if I ever truly knew them, or if I only ever saw what they wanted me to see. The thought curls in my chest like a snake, tightening, coiling, waiting to strike. The memory hits me sharp and sudden. The day I blacked out in the garden. I can still feel the sun on my skin, the dizzying rush behind my eyes, the ground slipping out from under me. When I came to, my wife was there, kneeling beside me, brushing the hair off my forehead, laughing softly. "Heat stroke, David, you old fool. You need to hydrate." I remember how easily I accepted her words, how quickly I let the moment dissolve, convinced it was nothing. But now I know, it wasn't nothing. Tonight, in the silence of the kitchen, she finally breaks. She admits they've known for 2 years. 2 years. She says it so softly I almost don't hear her. After a routine checkup I barely remember, they got the call, the results, the slow unraveling of certainty. And they decided, all of them together, that I didn't need to know. "We wanted to protect you," she whispers, but the words stumble over her tongue, as if she knows they don't hold. Her eyes shimmer with guilt, her hands trembling just enough that she curls them into fists to hide it. I want to rage. I want to throw the table, rip down the curtains, scream at the top of my lungs. Who gave you the right? Who decided that I was too weak, too fragile to face the truth of my own body? Who made that call? The one that stole from me 2 years of understanding, 2 years of choices, 2 years of preparing for what's coming. But the rage tangles with heartbreak, and I can't pull them apart. It sits heavy on my chest, this mix of fury and grief, like I've swallowed a stone I can't cough up. At night, I lie awake in the dark, the ceiling above me a vast blank canvas. I replay every conversation, every strange moment, trying to trace the shape of the lies they wrapped me in. I stare at my own reflection in the bathroom mirror, pale, lined, eyes rimmed with exhaustion, and wonder if I even recognize the man looking back. Did I ever? My youngest daughter comes to me quietly, her small hands clutching a bundle of papers. She confesses she's been writing letters to me. Letters she never gave me. Goodbye letters. I feel something crack deep inside as I hold those pages, as I see her careful handwriting spelling out the things she was too afraid to say aloud. The air in the house has changed. It's thick now, a kind of grief-laden fog. We shuffle through rooms together but never meet each other's eyes. No one dares speak openly. No one dares say the word we're all choking on. I can't take it anymore. In the kitchen, I grab a glass and hurl it against the wall. It shatters, the sound slicing through the tense quiet, a brief, sharp release. My wife flinches. My daughter cries. And later, alone in the dark, I whisper into the emptiness. What else don't I know? The words hang in the air, unanswered, like they've been waiting there all along. The human mind is cruel when it turns against you. Old arguments, long buried under the dust of time, suddenly claw their way to the surface, dressed in new, uglier skin. Now, when I remember those nights I felt dismissed or belittled, the quiet sigh when I spoke too long about work, the rolled eyes when I talked about the things I feared, they all flicker with a different meaning. Had they known even then? I think back to our anniversary dinner 2 years ago. We were at that little Italian place my wife loves, the one with the dripping candles and heavy red curtains. I remember reaching across the table to touch her hand, saying something. A joke, I think, about how we'd survived another year. And then her face crumbled. She excused herself to the restroom, tears in her eyes, and I sat there, staring at the half-empty wine glass, wondering if I'd somehow ruined the night. I told myself later that maybe she was tired, emotional, overwhelmed. But now, I wonder, was she crying because she knew something I didn't? Was every laugh, every kiss, every touch tinged with pity? The circle of deception cracked wider the day my brother showed up at the house. He clapped a hand on my shoulder and said, "How are you really feeling, Dave?" In that voice. You know, the one people use when they think they're handling you gently, when they think you might shatter. That's when it hit me. It wasn't just my wife, my kids. My brother knew. My own flesh and blood. I felt the ground shift under my feet, the foundation splitting. Trust began to rot in every corner. I looked at my daughter, my eldest, the one who used to come to me with her secrets, her dreams, and saw the way she avoided my eyes now, the way her smile tightened and faltered. The guilt hung on her like a wet coat, heavy and obvious. I began to push them away. Their silent apologies, their careful glances, the way they hovered like I was made of glass. I couldn't bear it. One night, I drank too much. I sat on the living room floor, the taste of whiskey burning my throat, feeling my heart hammer in my chest like it wanted to escape. For the first time, a thought curled in my mind, dark and slippery. Do I even want to fight this? I found myself clutching an old framed photo. The 5 of us on the beach, all sunburned smiles and wind-tousled hair. I traced the face of the man I used to be, the man who believed in his family, in love, in shared burdens. But now I wonder, was my life always theirs to rewrite? Have you ever felt like the story you thought you were living was being rewritten behind your back? What would you do if the people you loved most hid the truth from you? Tell me in the comments. I need to know I'm not the only one. I sit on the edge of the bed, my hands clenched so tightly that the nails cut half moons into my palms. The house is silent except for the faint hum of the refrigerator and the occasional creak of old wood shifting, like the bones of this place are aching with me. Memories surge up, uninvited, unstoppable. The shape of my father's back as he walked away from me, the harshness of his voice even in the rare moments he stayed. He was a cold man, a sharp-edged man, who died one ordinary afternoon without a single word of warning, collapsing in the driveway while I watched through the window, frozen. I had sworn, all those years ago, that I would be different, that I would be the father who listened, who stayed, who opened his arms and his heart. I believed I had kept that promise. But now, here I am, locked outside the very walls of my own family's trust, shut out, just like I had been by the man whose shadow I vowed never to repeat. Tonight, I confront my wife again. There's no gentleness left, no soft approach. My voice shakes as I demand every detail, every meeting, every whispered conversation they kept from me. She folds in on herself, curling her arms around her stomach as if trying to hold her insides together. She confesses that they met with doctors, with specialists, making decisions for my body, without me. "We thought we were protecting you," she whispers, her voice raw. But I hear it only as betrayal layered on betrayal. Later, my son approaches, his head hanging low, his hands shoved deep into his hoodie pocket. He tells me he didn't share his college struggles, his failing grades, his drinking, because you were already dealing with so much, Dad. I don't know whether to rage or weep. When did I become someone they tiptoed around, someone too fragile for the truth? I start seeing the erasure everywhere, in the hushed tones, in the appointments I was never invited to, in the soft lies layered into daily conversation. I've been slowly written out of the script of my own life, and I never even saw the edits. Flashbacks haunt me, moments I had dismissed, clues I had laughed off, my wife's sudden silences, the way my son's eyes darted when I asked about school, the heavy sighs, the covered-up stress, all of it now pulsing back in vivid, brutal color. I retreat into my old journals, pulling them from dusty drawers. I read my own handwriting, entry after entry, about how lucky I was, how strong we were as a family, how I believed we told each other everything. The words sting now, false and naive, each sentence a testament to how blind I was. I find myself in the garden, a place that once gave me peace, sitting on the cold stone bench where I used to sip coffee in the mornings. Now the air bites at my skin. The flowers I once tended feel like strangers. The weight of isolation presses in, heavy and smothering, like I'm drowning in a life I thought I understood. And I wonder, was it always this way, or did I just refuse to see it? I can't tell anymore if it's my body giving up, or if it's my mind that's breaking under the weight of it all. My legs feel weaker by the day. My breath comes shorter. But worse than the physical decay is the gnawing, corrosive feeling in my chest. The knowledge that the people I trusted have been orbiting around me, carefully curating what I know, what I see, what I believe about myself. At night, the dreams come hard and sharp. I see them, my family, gathered in the kitchen, heads bent close, whispering, planning, always planning. My wife's face is drawn tight, her brow furrowed, my children's eyes wide and frightened, all of them moving chess pieces across a board. Only the chess pieces are little versions of me, fragile, breakable. I wake drenched in sweat, choking on the air, unsure if the scream in my throat made it out or stayed buried inside. During the day, I watch my wife with new eyes. She pleads with me now, soft hands on my arm, trembling voice. "Please, David, forgive us. We were just trying to protect you." But her words hit me like cold water. Protect me? Or control me? Did they ever think I was strong enough to stand beside them in this fight? Or was I always, in their eyes, some delicate glass figure, better left in the dark, managed, contained? The worst comes when my youngest, my daughter Emma, throws her arms around me one morning. She's shaking, small hands clutching at my back. "Please don't go, Dad," she whispers. And right there, I shatter. The anger, the resentment, the hard shell I've built over the past few days, it crumbles. Because in that moment, I feel it, the raw animal fear in her voice. This wasn't just about keeping me safe. This was about keeping her world from collapsing. I sit alone that afternoon, turning an old Father's Day card over in my hands. Her handwriting, still clumsy back then, says, "To the best dad in the world." The words blur, smeared by the tears I refuse to wipe away. Was this always how it was going to end? A family splintering not from hatred, not from cruelty, but under the crushing weight of love twisted into secrecy? Something snaps inside me. I can't stay trapped in this house of whispered lies and unfinished sentences. That evening, for the first time in years, I call my doctor myself. No wife by my side, no family hovering in the waiting room. Just me, facing whatever truth they've been shielding me from. When I sit across from him the next day, the weight of his words is a wrecking ball. The truth doesn't just shake me, it demolishes everything I thought I knew about myself. Would you want to know the full truth, even if it shattered your sense of who you are? The doctor's words hit me like a steel fist to the chest. "It's progressed further than we'd hoped, David. I'm sorry." There's something terrifying in the gentleness of his voice, like the way you speak to a child whose pet has just died. My world doesn't collapse all at once. No, it shatters slowly, jagged piece by jagged piece, each syllable slicing through me. Time is running out. Time I never even knew I was racing against. I walk out of that sterile office with fire under my skin, a storm of fury so raw it feels like it will tear me apart from the inside. They stole this from me. The people I love, the people I trusted, they stole my time. I think of the months, maybe years, that could have been filled with something real. Bucket lists, honest conversations, The kind of moments that only come when you know your days are numbered. I burst through the front door like a force of nature, trembling with anger, my voice cracking as I demand, "Why?" My wife crumples before me, a sobbing heap on the living room floor, her face buried in her hands. "I just wanted a little more time of normalcy," she chokes out between gasps. "Just a little longer before everything changed." And then my son, my beautiful, too grown, too scared son, steps forward. His eyes are wet, his voice so small I have to strain to hear it. "I couldn't, Dad. I kept having these nightmares of you dying. I thought if we just didn't say it out loud, maybe it wouldn't happen." His words gut me more deeply than the doctors ever could. I start to see it, the layers of pain behind their silence. Not cold betrayal, but desperate, frantic love. They weren't trying to hurt me, they were trying to hold on to me even as I slipped through their fingers. But even knowing that, the ache doesn't go away. It's a heavy, gnawing sorrow for the choices that were taken from me, the time I didn't even know I was losing. I retreat into the quiet, into rooms that feel like they're closing in, suffocating me with memories I never meant to leave behind so soon. I sit at my desk for hours, fingers trembling over blank pages as I write letters I never imagined I'd need to write. To my wife, to my children, to the man I was, and the man I became. The house feels heavier than ever, every room thick with ghosts of the life I thought I still had. I pass by the kitchen, the bedroom, the hallway lined with family photos, and I wonder, how do you say goodbye when you never really got the chance to say hello to this version of yourself? This dying man I never thought I'd meet. We sit across from each other on the living room couch, the space between us heavy, sagging, thick with words neither of us can shape. I open my mouth to speak, but the syllables crumble before they reach the air. Grief has soaked through everything, even our voices. My wife clasps her hands in her lap, eyes darting down, as if afraid that looking at me too long will shatter whatever fragile hold we still have on this life together. I start, but I don't finish, because what comes after that? What? I just want to understand. I just want to forgive. I just want to go back in time and tear the silence apart before it swallowed us whole. The clock ticks on, merciless and sharp. The children hover nearby. I can hear them in the hallway, whispering, their shadows flitting past the doorway like ghosts. They want to come in, I can tell. They want to fix something, anything. But the distance between us all has grown jagged. To cross it would be to risk being cut open. I decide to try something normal, something absurdly domestic. I call for a family dinner. A real dinner, around the table like old times. We sit together, plates filled, glasses full, and we try. We really do. We laugh, a little. But the laughter is brittle, thin as cracked porcelain, and it trembles under the weight of all we aren't saying. The air hums with tension. Every word is a tightrope, every silence a storm. Later that night, I find myself alone, pulling dusty photo albums from the shelves. I flip through the glossy pages, staring into the face of a man I once wanted to be. Strong, dependable, unwavering. A father, a husband, a protector. I trace a finger over photos of birthdays, graduations, vacations where the sun always seemed too bright, and a question curls in my mind, sharp and accusing. Did I fail them too? Because if I had been paying attention, if I had seen the cracks before they splintered, maybe I could have stopped this. Maybe I could have spared us all this grief. That night, my wife and I lie in bed together, wrapped in each other's arms. But it feels like we're clinging to a lifeboat in the middle of a storm. The silence between us is loud, aching, stretching to the ceiling. She presses her face into my chest, and I wonder if she can feel how tight it is, how shallow my breaths have become. My body is betraying me now, piece by piece. Little moments steal my breath away. A sudden dizziness, a crushing tightness across my ribs. I feel it sinking in. Time is no longer an abstract fear. Time is here, closing its hands around my throat. So I start recording videos. For my children? For the birthdays I might miss? The graduations I might not see? The weddings I might only witness from somewhere far away? I want to leave them something real, something that proves I was here, that I mattered. And with every word I speak into the camera, it feels like a final act, like I'm writing the last lines of a story I never wanted to end this way. Sleep is no escape anymore. My dreams have become crowded halls of memory, dimly lit corridors where I chase after shadows I once thought I had safely stored away. I see their tiny feet, my children's first steps, the unsteady wobble followed by wild grins. I hear the soft cadence of bedtime stories, the careful way I shape the words, believing I was building something permanent, security, warmth, love. And then there are the whispered promises, the ones I made under my breath when they were too young to understand, but I knew they'd feel. I will always be here. I will always protect you. And yet, standing in this present, I see how much I missed even when I was there, sitting right beside them. My presence was physical, but my mind, God, my mind was elsewhere so often. Work deadlines, mortgage payments, fixing the car, worrying about whether I was doing enough when I didn't even realize I was already failing at the most crucial part, being present. Tonight the dam finally broke. My wife, sitting across from me in the darkened kitchen, the only light the dim glow of the stovetop clock, confesses in a cracked voice, "I thought you didn't want to know, David. I thought you wanted to be the strong one, that you needed the illusion." Her face twists in a way that shreds me, a combination of sorrow, guilt, and exhaustion. And for the first time in years we cry together. Not the silent, polite tears of grief we've learned to swallow, but raw animal sobs, bodies shaking, shoulders curling in on themselves. I forgive her. I forgive them all. But, and this is the part no one tells you, forgiveness doesn't erase pain. It doesn't lift the weight off your chest or sweep the shards off the floor. It just means you choose to carry the pain together rather than alone. My daughter comes to me next, shy, eyes wide, holding a stack of folded papers, her secret letters. She reads them aloud, her voice trembling, words spilling out like tiny knives. How scared she's been. How much she missed me. How she hated lying but didn't know what else to do. My son sits beside me, silent for a long time. Then, a small miracle. He takes my hand. His grip is hesitant, but it's there, solid, real. His walls crack, just enough for me to see the boy who used to run into my arms without a second thought. And here's what stuns me. The heartbreak I thought was only mine. The betrayal I believed I carried alone. It was all of ours. Every single one of us had been sitting in our own little prison of grief, too afraid to open the door, too afraid to say, "I'm hurting." We stay up late into the night, the four of us, sharing stories, old wounds, small triumphs, buried confessions. There's no fairy tale ending here, no sweeping fix, but there's something else, maybe something better, a bittersweet healing. I wonder, as I listen to them laugh softly, if love is always tangled up with hurt, if that's just the price you pay when you care deeply enough to be broken by each other. The autumn air carries that crisp, metallic edge, the scent of dying leaves mingling with the damp earth. I sit on the porch, wrapped in an old wool blanket, watching the trees bleed gold and amber into the horizon. This has always been my favorite season. Something about the beauty and decay, the quiet surrender of nature. But now, every leaf that drifts to the ground feels like a little countdown, a soft reminder of how little time I have left. They sit with me now, my family. My wife, her fingers intertwined with mine, her thumb stroking the back of my hand as if to memorize the shape of it. My children, clustered nearby, their voices low, their laughter tentative but real. We all know what's coming, but for once, no one is pretending anymore. I watch the way the sunlight hits their faces, gilding their hair, catching in their eyes. I feel an ache deep in my chest. Not the physical kind, not the kind that the doctors warn you about, but something far sharper. The ache of knowing that I will miss all of this. That soon, they will sit here without me. That these moments, so small, so ordinary, are now treasures I am hoarding greedily, packing them into the corners of my mind, desperate not to forget. My body is failing, but my mind, oh, my mind is sharper than it's been in years. Memory has become my refuge. I walk through old places with my wife, visiting the cafe where we first met, the park where we pushed strollers, the quiet street where we kissed under falling snow. Every step is a conversation with ghosts, every corner filled with echoes, and somehow it makes the weight a little lighter. My children, once tight-lipped and guarded, now sit with me openly. We talk about everything, their fears, their regrets, their dreams. I see their shoulders ease, the burden they've carried finally loosening. We were all afraid, I realize. All trying to protect each other, all fumbling in the dark. Maybe forgiveness starts there, in the shared recognition of our fear. In the quiet hours, I write a letter. My last letter. I pour every word I've ever wanted to say into it. Every apology, every thank you, every I love you. I forgot to speak out loud. I tell them I forgive them for everything, and I ask humbly, achingly for their forgiveness too. As the sun dips below the horizon, I close my eyes, feeling the ache of goodbye seep into my bones. But there's something else now, something softer, peace. A fragile, hard-won peace. We found our way back to each other, maybe just in time. Have you ever made peace with someone too late? Or just in time? Tell me. Tell me your story. Maybe together we can remind each other that it's never too late. I wake to the sound of rain tapping softly against the window pane. The rhythm delicate, almost apologetic, like the sky knows what's coming and is grieving with us. The light in the room is dim, washed in pale gray, and everything feels suspended. The kind of hush that settles before a final breath. They're here, my family. My wife's hand wraps around mine, small and trembling, her fingers colder than I remember. My children sit close, their eyes shining, raw with the kind of tears that no longer fall, but just sit heavy, waiting. For the first time in a long time, I see them not as conspirators, not as betrayers, but as people. Fragile, broken, human. They tried to love me the only way they knew, even if it was messy, even if it hurt. I whisper, my voice thin and scratchy. Thank you for loving me, even in the messy, painful ways. My wife leans closer, her face crumpling, and presses her forehead to mine. My daughter sobs softly, shoulders shaking, while my son wipes at his eyes, pretending to be strong. There's no dramatic forgiveness here, no sweeping moment of clarity or neat tying up of loose ends, just the rawness of imperfection, of people doing the best they can in impossible moments. There's no such thing as a perfect ending. Only this battered, beautiful thing we built together, flawed and aching and full of the kind of love that survives even the deepest cracks. I feel it then, the weight that's been pressing on me for so long. Not the illness, but the grief, the silence, the heavy loneliness we all carried in separate corners of the house, too afraid to meet each other in the middle. It lifts, just slightly, enough for me to breathe. My eyes close, and I let myself sink into the sounds around me. The rain, the faint shuffle of someone's foot, the wet inhale of my wife trying not to sob too loudly. A soft smile tugs at the edge of my lips. They'll be okay. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but they'll survive this. My story ends here, but theirs doesn't. They will carry on, with all the painful, hard-earned lessons stitched into their skin. If you've stayed with me through this story, if you've listened to my unraveling, my anger, my heartbreak, know this: you are not alone. We all carry invisible weights. We all ache to be seen, to be heard, to be known. Don't let silence steal your moments. Don't let fear keep you from saying the things that matter. Tell the people you love how you feel. Tell them today. Please, if this has touched something inside you, like this video, share your own story in the comments and subscribe. Not just for me, but because somewhere out there, someone else is waiting in the dark, needing to hear they're not alone.